looked around the room, saw Harriet, shook loose from the boys, and strode over to stand before the empty desk next to Harriet. "Hi," she said, leaning slightly toward Harriet. "My name's Miranda. May I sit here?" Well, sure. I'm Harriet," she responded, too enthralled even to squirm in her usual discomfort over conversation. Miranda smiled at her, perfect teeth shining, eyes shining too, warm, looking at Harriet. And Harriet's heart gave a great thump, and then began to dance steps unfamiliar to her ever before this. Their association never quite grew into an intimate friendship of shared confidences, but they were comfortable with one another and often did their assignments together. Usually, Harriet would walk over to Miranda's room in the dorm, and the two of them would walk from there to the library. They were in the library when the second miracle happened. Miranda had rummaged through the shelves and brought back to their table an armload of books with which to research her topic. Harriet had no work to do herself, was there only to be with Miranda, to bask in the pleasure of her presence. Miranda was searching through her pack, a look of dismay on her face. "My notebook," she murmured. "I must have left it in my room. Oh, shit. I could run and get it for you." Harriet, who would do anything for Miranda, offered, "and you could get your book set up while I'm gone." "Would you?" Miranda pulled out her keys. "That's so sweet of you. Here." She gave the keys to Harriet. "It's on my desk, right on top of everything. Thanks so much, Harriet." Keys in hand, Harriet raced to Miranda's dorm, up the steps and inside. She trotted down the hallway, stopped before Miranda's door, inserted the key into the lock, turned until it clicked, grasped the doorknob, turned that too, and slowly swung the door inward. Harriet poised at the threshold, savoring that last final moment before she actually stepped inside. She had been in Miranda's room before, but only briefly, and never alone. Now she was so excited that she scarcely could breathe. At last she would be inside that marvelous room all by herself, that room of such wonders. She, Harriet, would privately savor the intimacy of Miranda's personal space, would consciously breathe the same air Miranda breathed, the same air that was touching her skin as she now entered, air that had touched and would touch again Miranda's skin. She felt she might perish from the intensity of the joy that filled her. She looked around the little space, crowded with bed, desk, chair, dresser, laundry hamper. She saw Miranda's notebook on the desk, and as she moved to pick it up, she noticed hanging on a hook on the wall a denim cap that Miranda had worn one day, her hair exploding out from beneath its constraints. To Harriet, Miranda had looked especially alive, vivacious, breathtakingly beautiful then. Almost without her awareness of the act, Harriet's hand crept toward the cap and plucked it from the hook. A little fright chilled through her at her boldness as her other hand came round to close upon the brim, and she raised the cap toward her own head. She could smell the scent of Miranda's hair as the cap passed her face to be set firmly upon her own hair. She looked into the mirror then. It was as though she had herself become like Miranda, lengthened, smoothed, transformed into someone exotic and sophisticated. She postured before the mirror, preening, turning this way and that. Then, unexpectedly, a rush of guilt filled her, and, panting, her heart pumping wildly in sudden shame, she took the cap from her head and replaced it on its hook, taking care to position it exactly as it had been before she touched it. On the way back to the library with Miranda's notebook, Harriet stopped at the hardware store on the corner and had a copy of the key made for herself. Harriet knew that Miranda went out on dates with some of the boys who circled her like sharks. Sometimes Miranda would offer to fix Harriet up with one or another of their friends, but Harriet always refused. What Miranda did not know was that when she, Miranda, was out on these dates, Harriet would use her own key to slip into Miranda's room. In Miranda's room, Harriet was like a rose in bloom. Slowly, becoming a little bit bolder each time, she explored the desk and rummaged through the contents of the dresser, and when she raised the lid of the laundry hamper, she found what she wanted in a tangled profusion of Miranda's dirty clothes. In Miranda's room, Harriet would shed her homely exterior with her own garb until, stripped to the skin, she carefully would select underwear and outer garments from Miranda's hamper. Naked, holding the laundry against her face, she would inhale deeply as though she were breathing the very essence of Miranda's energy into herself with the aroma. Then, slowly, ritualistically, she would dress in Miranda's clothes and parade before the mirror, seeing herself transformed, beautiful, elegant, poised.
Oh, that's great.